this has a recipe of being a fight of the night. I'm gonna go in there to, like I said, to kill if he kills. I'm not sure what his mindset is, but I'm gonna knock heads off the canvas.
I fight for one person tonight, and that's Dana White. I'm here to impress Dana White. I am here to get a contract and get into the UFC.
I want to put a stamp on MMA. I want people to remember me. You know, I want some of that glory.
I feel like it's very much justice, and I feel that I'm gonna take the opportunity, and I don't take anything for granted when it comes to this sport. You know, I'm gonna make the best of it.
Welcome to Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world and home to Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Welcome to the pre-show, everyone, brought to you by Toyo Tires, All or Nothing. I'm Megan O'Leary, joined by Brendan Fitzgerald. Brendan, are you having fun calling this series right now?
Most fun I've ever had. Being paid to do something.
Right?
That's certainly to be true. This is a blast.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 25 live fights over the past few weeks, 9 contracts awarded. Somebody in your position gets to see dreams come true right in front of them. What's that like, knowing these people are putting on the performance of a lifetime and then they get another reward at the end?
I think it's just amazing to watch, because we all have dreams in whatever profession we choose, but for these guys, it's such a cutthroat business. And to be fighting in front of Dana White, I can only imagine what those guys go through. We know what they go through kind of outside of the octagon, in the training room, getting the weight off, all that sort of thing. And what I love about the series is it's kind of created its own ecosystem. It's like we've got the 9 contract guys, so as they go, people will follow it based on seeing the series.
Right.
And we're going to see some return fighters, including one this week and some more in the coming week. So it's just kind of been this great event. And I don't think anyone could have predicted how much fun that it's been.
Yeah, I mean, what's the vibe in the gym like, you know, when these fights are about to start now? But, you know, you get these different kinds of family members and friends, and everybody has these high hopes that this is the fight. This is the fight that will make it. So do you feel like there's extra pressure, or is there extra excitement?
I think it's extra excitement. I think probably the most pressure, and I think the fighters will tell you this, and I think the families will tell you this, are on the parents and the girlfriends and the wives and the crowd.
Yeah.
It's always worse to watch, right? And, you know, the energy is great, though. Paul and I will do our introduction, and as soon as we just bring up a name, we've had an outburst from Julian Marquez's father from last week. He just couldn't contain himself. I think, you know, tears were coming to his eyes, and just the excitement of the moment got to him. They know what's at stake for their loved ones. These fighters know what's at stake, and I don't know how they keep a level head and get down to business, but they got to find a way.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And don't forget, the fights start in just a few moments. If you don't have a UFC Fight Pass account, head on over to UFCFightPass.com. Sign up now. You don't want to miss this series, plus the entire library of fights, all the undercard fights that are shown during UFC cards. I mean, trust me, you want a UFC Fight Pass account. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about this fight with Adrian Diaz and Grant Dawson. Kind of similar there on the records. Yeah. Diaz at 11-4, Dawson at 11-1. This is going to be an exciting fight at featherweight, because both of them could really be in the UFC already.
They know how to finish. We have 11 wins on each side. Grant Dawson on his side, he's 23 years old. He's 11-1. That is a bright prospect, as you know. And all 11 of his fights, all of 11 of his wins by finish. He is a submission specialist, 8 submissions. He gets it done. At one point, amateur and pro career, he had a streak of 14 finishes, all of them wins in fights. So this guy is certainly an exciting guy to watch, and do not turn your back on him. It takes one slip up and he will end this one quickly. On the other side, you got a guy with the last name Diaz fighting out of Stockton, California. Usually that means he's a tough dude. He doesn't know, or he's not part of the Diaz clan as we know, but he's looking to make a name for himself. Team Alpha Male, Urijah Faber will certainly have some interesting thoughts for him on the Snoopcast coming up. I'll be interested to see what he says, but he's a bright prospect too. As you say, 22 wins between these two guys.
Yeah, this one should be really fun in terms of the grappling as well. I mean, Diaz has 5 submission wins. All 5 are guillotines, which is that patented finish by Team Alpha Male. And he told me earlier this week, listen, I've been doing this for almost 9 years. This is my time. Whereas he's facing somebody a little bit younger than him who does have the same amount of wins. So when you look at it in those terms, what really are you expecting? Are you expecting Diaz to come out there and say, I have to prove a point?
Well, I think that everybody on the series has to prove a point, and that's what we've seen so far. The thing that I like about these guys, in just hearing them talk and the build-up to the fight, is how much they respect one another.
Yes.
We hear plenty of kind of features on this series where they don't belong in the octagon with me. These guys know what they're up against, and they're ready for a fight of the night. They say, hey, I'm thrilled to be fighting this opponent. Of course, they believe in themselves to win, and they believe that they'll get the UFC contract. and they hope to impress, but they know that the stage is set for them to have a great performance.
Yeah, and that's a really cool thing about Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series is that these matchups are so even and so fun. Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard really did a great job putting, you know, different fighters together and making sure that we as fans are given a great fight to see, and they as fighters are given a great opportunity to win on either side.
Yeah, and another great thing about the series, it's one thing to go around to the regional circuits as they do and scout fighters, but when you pull from the best of the regional circuits and you put them in the same octagon, that's why we're seeing these great fights.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be a fun one at 145, but let's take a closer look at the two men in tonight's featured bout.
I'm a father, I'm a fighter, I work hard, I have a regular 9 to 5. Not most fighters do. People need to worry about me because I'm dangerous. I'm the best unsigned fighter. Charles Berg, trained with at Fortis MMA out of Dallas, Texas. Plan on knocking this guy out in the first round. Life has not been easy, and it has not been a clear path. I mean, most fighters start when they're young, and they don't have anything to do but train every day. Me, I started with a family, so it just meant balancing that and just trying to be a good person. Lost a job, 2 kids, you know, a family, trying to be the man of the house, take care of those responsibilities, working several jobs, 10 hours a day, then I would go work at night. I was delivering bread on the weekends. I mean, I was doing whatever I can to kind of get by and still trying to train and fight at the same time. I'm divorced now, but you know, all that, it takes a lot out of you, putting so much into something and you don't have it. The first episode was great, went out, took the fight. I know I got an opponent switch at the last minute. I changed the game plan at the last minute and was able to get a finish.
Oh, he tapped out! Wow!
Thought I had sealed the deal, thought I had the contract, and I found out otherwise afterwards.
The guys who got here tonight did make it. They didn't get picked, but they made it. So keep winning, and maybe we'll see you again soon.
It hurt, but you know, I'm here now, so I mean, that's all behind me.
My name is Randall Braveheart Wallace. I fight out of Oakdale, California with Oakdale MMA in the Last Stand fight team. Dana White, give me my shot, I'm ready. My family lived in poverty a lot of my life. We slept in tents at times when I was real young. My uncles and my dad, they've either been in the prison or in the insane asylum due to violent crime. So I learned at a young age that I should channel that violent aggression and use it to my advantage. I'm the nicest guy outside of the octagon. I get along with most of everyone. All my friends call me buddy, but I have a little darkness inside me tucked away. I flip a switch whenever I get in the octagon. I take a lot of pride in being a finisher. Out of my 15 victories, I have 10 first-round finishes. I want to put a stamp on MMA. I want people to remember me.
I didn't get that call, of course I was pissed off. This is a second chance for me to show that, you know, you can go through anything. As long as you put your mind to it, you can get somewhere.
This is the biggest opportunity so far, but it's just another fight. It's me and Charles getting in there. I want to be put through a war. I want to fight. I want a black eye. I want to have some blood on me after the fight because this is my life. I embrace it and I enjoy it.
I've already been through this whole process before. I just got to go in there and take care of business.
All right, Kid Dynamite making his return to the series, taking on Braveheart. This one should be really fun. I immediately want to get your thoughts on the fact that Charles Berg is making his return to the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series.
He was impressive in week 1, and people will remember the submission with, what, less than 10 seconds to go in that first round. Went back and watched that fight. Great with the kicks early. Then he got taken down because Jamie Pickett, I think, was a little stunned or couldn't really handle those kicks early. And if you remember, Berg was on his back for a little bit. He did have to scramble a little bit. He did have to deal with some things on the ground. He wasn't in the best position. He dealt with it. He got back up, and he got the submission win. It'll be interesting to see what he does this time. Does his game plan change? Does he try to avoid takedowns? Now, I know it's a new opponent and kind of a different style fighter. But again, fighting a guy kind of on short notice, like not knowing an opponent for that long. So Charles Berg kind of back in a similar situation, but it's good to see him back. I remember in week 1, it was like, This guy was impressive too. Can't hand out a contract to anybody, but that's the great thing. They can have him back and they can get another chance.
Yeah, in just a few weeks. I mean, he was on week number 1. It was just a couple of weeks ago that he's getting his new opportunity. It's almost like having a second life, right? Like, you know, you think this is the end of the road and it's not.
It wasn't a physically taxing fight. Now, I know he was on the ground. It's not like it's a cupcake down there,
right.
But he didn't take any hard shots, didn't take any head shots. And once he got to his feet, he controlled the fight and was able to get the victory. So this is kind of a different animal on the other side. Randall Wallace wants to make things scrappy, and so could be a different looking performance for Charles Byrd, but I think everybody's radar is up that he's a big prospect.
Yeah, let's talk about his opponent, Randall Wallace. I mean, this guy has 11 first-round finishes, which is almost unheard of. 7 knockouts, 6 submissions, so he's a very, very well-rounded mixed martial artist. So he's coming in here on short notice, but not unprepared.
Right, and 15 pro wins. You can't look the other way at that. Started his career 10-1. He's 5-5 in his last 10 fights. So I wonder if that's because the opponent stepped up. Is he losing a step? I don't want to say that about Randall Wallace, but 3-fight winning streak, as you say, all those first-round finishes, and he fights out of Oakdale, California, the same fighting club that we saw in Angel Vienda in week 2, who eventually lost to Daniel Spahn, but won respect in that fight.
Yes.
So, you know, 185-pounder Randall Wallace coming in from that fight club. They won respect from Angel Vienda. We'll see what he does this time around.
You know, Brendan, before we finish talking about this fight, I just want to get your thoughts on the fact that we did bring Charles Byrd back into this. What kind of hope and message does that really send to everyone who's competing on this series, where it's not like The Ultimate Fighter, you know, you don't fight to get into the house, or you don't win to get into the house, and maybe that's the end of your tough career there.
Right.
But this is really, hey, as long as you're performing, you will be welcomed back.
Absolutely. And a couple of weeks ago when we saw Brandon Davis and Julian Marquez get contracts in week 4, we had 2 losers in that room at the end of the night as candidates. And the radar is still up on, the journey does not end no matter if you win and don't get the contract, or if you lose and obviously don't get a contract, which hasn't happened yet on the series. But the fact that you're being scouted by Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, and Dana White is sitting there by the side of the octagon, they're seeing what type of fighter you are. If you go 2 rounds, 3 rounds, if you're interesting, if you're the fighter that they want, if you show heart and toughness, yeah, they're going to welcome you back because they want this show to be good and they want the future of the UFC to be bright.
Right. Well, and you talk about a show being good. Let's talk about the Snoopcast, because that's always good every week. I mean, if you want to have some fun while you watch fights, you got to click on the Snoopcast audio. Do you ever go back and kind of watch the highlights?
Absolutely, I do. I mean, social media lets me know what's happening with them during the fights and obviously after, when I kind of take a look on there. You know, I am honored to kind of compete on the mic with Snoop. I never thought I'd be doing that in my sportscasting career, but
maybe like a slight little MC
battle. I've been waiting to be colleagues with Snoop for quite a while, so I'm glad that UFC kind of made it happen. It's been great.
I'm glad they can make your dreams come true as well. Let's actually take a look at the highlight of Snoopcast from week number 5.
Back on the Snoopcast. Where you at? UFC Fight Pass. Hurry up. It's gonna come on right about now.
That's his sister.
That's his sister?
Yeah.
He said something about Mama Shelby. He said something about
You can hear her out there.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Uh-oh. Who's that? Ooh!
About time they let some real motherfuckers in here, man. Oh, yeah. Good night.
Is it Anaconda?
Good night.
What? Oh, he's out.
Yeah, good night. That's your
You
thing.
say, oh, ho, ho. Wow. Did you see that?
Good night, Irene.
Oh, my goodness, man.
Good night, Irene.
That was it. There's Tom Egan, Jesus. The white Jesus with the
Dana got to give him
pale
a contract.
skin. Another great night of fights. Again, the best commentary crew on the planet.
Hey,
And now, see, look at a little bit of that.
And a toast to the boogie.
Yeah.
All right, Snoop Dogg and the California Kid, always having fun there. I mean, they make sure it's also very entertaining for our viewers. So make sure you click on the Snoopcast. The Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series starts right now. Make sure you have a UFC Fight Pass account by heading over to UFCFightPass.com. Brendan, I know you're about to head to work.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time.
I got to get a quick change in, and I'll see you for the fights.
Yes, have so much fun. And don't forget, this was presented by Toyo Tires All or Nothing. We will see you next week for Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series.
As I started to go out and look at talent around the country, I started to realize how much talent there is. The level of athlete is getting better and better. This has never been done in the history of combat sports. We're literally going out there all over the world to try to find the next world champion.
Growing up in Hawaii, Hawaii, you're always fighting, you know.
I believe that God has put me on earth to be a champion one day.
My mom did a great job of raising 6 kids. Sometimes we didn't know if we were gonna have heat or not. Sometimes we didn't know if we were gonna have hot water or not. We got through it, and now I'm here fighting for them.
I have no idea how I was comfortable sleeping in the football field in Hamilton Park. I had bags of training clothes. I knew deep down, this is all gonna change.
I was diagnosed with leukemia when I was 2.5 years old, and I've always been a fighter. All I needed to ever do was show Dana that I deserve to be here.
I came from the bottom, clawing my way to the top.
This is everything I've been working for. I'm ready.
I was the little guy in a pretty rough neighborhood. I'm gonna achieve greatness, and this is just step one.
There's no denying that I should be in the UFC.
I fight for my kids.
I fight for my dreams.
I fight for the glory.
I fight for my kids, I fight for my family, and I fight to be the best in the world.
The only person I fear is my mom. I ain't fighting her, so we good.
What's up, Dana? I hope you have that multi-fight deal for me, because I'm coming for the knockout.
If you know me, you know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for exciting fighters that go for broke and try to win.
I came from the jungle. I'm ready to be one of the top fighters in UFC.
I deserve this second chance. I belong in the UFC.
Who knows what's gonna happen, but I'm in there to finish my opponent.
For Dana to be impressed, I have to finish this guy.
I'm gonna put on the fight of my life.
The Tuesday Night Contender Series live and only on UFC Fight Pass.
What's your problem? Bored? Stop whining and watch a fight. Not just a fight, pretty much every MMA fight worth watching. How? UFC Fight Pass, that's how. It's a digital streaming service with the world's largest fight library, original shows, and exclusive live events. That's thousands of fights being through your eyeballs and into your brain. Anywhere, anytime. Problem solved. UFC Fight Pass solves everything.